Parenting is one of those situations where it can be extremely difficult or it could be extremely easy. It just depends on the players, the parents in the game. Now, if everybody's on the same side, then it's easy. If everybody's not on the same side, then it turns into a situation where, what I'm saying, it could be combative in a way. And the best way to do co-parenting, from my experience, is let's be friends. Let's just, what I'm saying, let's somehow work it out though for the better good of the child. We're trying to raise a productive human being in society, even though we didn't work it out and we everybody in the house. We still got to make sure this child that, what I'm saying, that goes around in the world and so forth is a productive citizen. And so that means they need to be it needs to be even, same message, same everything when it comes to raising the child. It shouldn't be no ambiguity, no mushiness. If y'all agree on something, then it should be that way. And that's the ideal situation. But outside of the ideal situation is situations that go the opposite way. And and tonight on Bar Talk, we're gonna talk about a situation that goes the opposite way. And we have a caller in tonight that's gonna pretty much describe their situation. We're gonna talk through it and then see if we can come to a resolution to help. And at the end of the day, like I said, whatever helps the child and so forth be a productive citizen, that's what we'll do. And then two, people, use the chat if you have any tips or anything to add to it. So with that being said, I'm about to start. Yeah. So I have a caller calling in that has a problem, and we're gonna talk through it with her. We're gonna call her Josephine. Josephine, how are you doing this evening?
I'm fine, how are you?
Very well, very well. So uh, let's get into the issue. Let's start from the beginning. What happened?
So, in this situation, my child is 9 and has had a lot of issues with behavior. And on this particular occasion, their behavior escalated and they broke something very expensive. And when I reached out to my child's father to explain it, he was not very supportive. He said he wasn't going to believe anything until he had talked to our child. He kind of thought it like a mystery person had come into the house and broken it.
Well, so what was
And
this? Let me ask you this: not to break your stride, but what was it when you first made the first? When did you make the first communication with the child's father? When this happened, did right away, or you investigated and then
yeah,
determined?
immediately after it happened, after I discovered what had happened and what had gotten broken.
All right, and so what did he
And I
say?
called and I said, "Hey, I need your help." You know, he was just very adamant that he wasn't gonna um, take my word for it until he had a chance to talk to our child.
Hmm. So did he talk to the child immediately, or he waited to it was his turn to see the child again? How did that work?
He did ask the child, and the child said no. So that was one thing that he was like, "No, I didn't do that."
So he said, "Put the child on the
And
phone."
yeah,
Okay.
on speaker.
Okay. And so the
So yeah.
child
So
denied it.
again, child denied it. Long story short, we came up with a plan for him to talk with our child because that's he wasn't gonna take anything I had to say um, at face value until he had the conversation. So he did. He had the conversation, and our child confessed to doing it. We came up with a plan for punishment.
All right. So was that plan? How did y'all create the plan for punishment? How did y'all come to whatever y'all came to, and what was did y'all come to?
So we came to an agreement that we definitely both felt that it was a severe enough situation that it required that our child not have access to, because it was a computer game, not have access to technology or TV for a specific amount of time. And we actually debated on the amount of time. I wanted to go longer, he wanted to go shorter.
So how long did you want to go originally?
I originally wanted to go a month or two.
A month or two? So
And he
so
felt that that
30 to
was
60
too
days.
long.
How long he wanted to go?
Yeah, he felt like that was too long. Um, so we bantered back and forth about whether or not we would go 30 days or 27 days or whatever. So we decided on 27 days. I basically just kind of gave up. I didn't care anymore. I was like, okay, 27 days.
That's an odd number. How about the 27? You might as well go the whole 30 if you'll go 27.
I know it was ridiculous, but I didn't really want to keep arguing about it because he had made up his mind that 27 days was enough, and that was where it was easiest just to come to the conclusion of, okay, we'll do 27 days.
Okay, so the 27. So he came in with. So you said 30 to 60, and so instead of him just agreeing with you, he came with a number almost the same number as you,
Yeah, just a little bit less.
a little bit less. Or he probably would have said if it's 27 days and it's 30, he could have said 33 days, as long as it won't the same number you. So it wasn't the fact that he didn't want to show a united front with you.
Well, we had this discussion offline. We didn't have it in front of our child.
No, I mean,
It was,
not in
yeah,
front of the child, but it was in front. For true to him, he wanted you to know that we're not having a united front when it comes to this subject matter
right,
and so
right,
forth. Okay, and so
right.
with him going in that direction, how does that make you feel?
It's frustrating because I have concerns about my child and their behavior and understanding consequences. I was raised where everybody had the opportunity to discipline you. It could be a neighbor who you looked at cross-eyed, and all you had to, all that your parent had to hear was that you looked at the neighbor cross-eyed, and you learned your lessons. You were respectful of property and people, and so I was concerned that this wasn't going to be the case, that my child was going to not understand that what he had done was not good,
Okay,
not.
so the point, I guess, the point of the point of any punishment for a child is to show them what they did wrong and show them there's consequences for what they did wrong.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so do you feel like that was communicated to the child in a way that he saw both of y'all saying, "Hey, you did wrong here, and now because you did wrong, this is what's going to happen." Do you feel that that message was a united message talking to the child?
I think the message was supposed to be united. I wasn't there when it was actually delivered because it was a time in which the child was at dad's. But when my son returned to me, he knew clearly that he wasn't allowed to do things. So I think it was a united message.
Okay, so he knew that he couldn't play with technology items for a period of time when he came back home. Before, when the message was
Correct.
said that, yo, you did wrong, this is what's gonna happen to you, you were not there at that moment.
Correct.
So the question is, why didn't y'all set that up in a way that both of y'all are looking at the child when the punishment was handed down?
Why we weren't? Why we
Go-
weren't together when we
Yeah,
did? Is that what you're
yeah.
asking?
When the decision was made to punish a child, I know y'all debated the punishment, but when it actually was
Yeah,
delivered,
honestly, just to get to the point where we came to the conclusion on the punishment was so difficult that I don't know. I don't think it crossed anybody's mind that we should actually be together when we delivered the punishment.
okay,
I, I think the other part was so exhausting for me that I didn't even think about like, oh, and I should probably be there when you tell him.
Right.
I didn't think it didn't occur to us.
Well, that's understandable. Like I said, when you, like I said, I can hear that the battle for to even get to the point where, all right, this is what's happening was turned into, all right, you beat me down, whatever
Yeah,
you
I mean,
want.
because it was a battle just for him to get my co-parent to understand that this had actually happened. It wasn't something fictional I had made up in my mind, and to get that buy-in of, yeah, this really did happen, and you really did do it. It was a lot to get to. Then to get through the negotiation of what was going to be the punishment, it absolutely didn't cross my mind that we should be together.
Right.
It was probably the furthest thing from my mind.
I can see that because, like I said, we battling on the punishment, and then the punishment comes into, okay, let's do this, and and you're like, nah, let's do that, and that is just pretty much the same thing. It's like y'all are battling over that.
Exactly.
And I think in a co-parenting situation, you got to have the united front. It's like we gonna ride this way, and it's got to be willing united. It can't be pulled. The two parents can't be pulled. One can't pull the other one into it. It's got to be, okay, we're gonna parent this way or we're gonna parent that way, and so forth. Cause I guess that then leaves the child a little confused about what happens and where to really enforce the relationship and where not to. Do you feel like the child is looking at both of y'all in a way that I can do stuff here and not over here?
I think the child knows how to pull both our strings and doesn't hesitate to do it, which is my concern. Is that he definitely knows that there's things that I will not hold him accountable. Not that I will not hold him accountable, that he's not held accountable for the same standards that both households.
Right.
So he
And
just works the system where he's at.
right. And so do you think that within working the system as he does, and that maybe punish maybe do would you think this is a question for you, and it's pretty much if you think if the child, let's say, has an incident again, and you say, all right, child had an incident again, y'all agree on you say 30-day punishment, 27-day punishment, or whatever comes up. You say, all right, the child takes his whole punishment at your house, Dad. Is that something that you could stomach?
No.
Hmm?
Nope.
See, okay.
No.
Like I said, that's like I said, that's a hard one. That's really it's a hard one to stomach because it's like, okay, if you push your kid over there for whatever duration of the punishment and so forth, I know it can come
Well,
off like you feel like you're like, oh, I'm less than, I'm the kid's mother, why I got to do this, that, and third, and so forth.
well, for me, I don't think it's that. I think it's more of the accountability that of following through with the punishment. I don't have great faith that even if I sent him over there, that he would enforce the punishment for the full time.
All right.
So then that compounded on my feelings of I'm not with the kid, I'm pushing the kid over there because I can't deal with it. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
Right. Right. Like I said,
And that's a me thing. That's a totally me thing. That's I think a little bit of self pride and lack of faith.
right. So, but you got to think about it like this: pushing the kid that direction for a period of time, like I said, not forever, but just a period of time, could also give you, what I'm saying, more of a way of understanding the father to understand where you're coming from. Because, like I said, anybody can act a certain way for a period of time, and like I said, within a situation where a kid goes from house to house and so forth, and a day or two here, a day or two there, or a few days here, it's easier for the kid to in turn be like that he could act a certain way. Like I said, because probably the dynamics at the father's house is going to be different than the dynamics at the mother's house.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the dynamics at the mother's house, being your house, is like I said, it could be a way that the kid never really acts out. Kid does what he's supposed to do because in a way it's nothing really to be. There's no situation. Matter of fact, let me ask you this: is there any? Do you have other children?
I do. They're
And
older now.
so you got what grown children?
I do.
Okay, so there's no other children, and so at dad's house it's just him and the child.
Yes.
And so so you have that type of situation. There's not a whole bunch of stuff that can happen. And I'm taking it at your house is a little bit different dynamics because you say he broke an item. Was it your item or somebody else's item?
It was somebody else's item that was at my house.
Okay, so you have other people at your house. But far as dad, does dad have visitors and so forth that could have same dynamics?
Occasionally. I mean, probably not as often as. I mean, I don't know if that. I mean, I guess I don't know if that. Help me understand where you're going to go with that because I don't really see how that plays into
No, just saying
this
that.
particular situation. It just happened to be somebody who was at the house that had an item that he broke. I guess I can't really speak for is this person also at that house with the items or whether or not his father has other people who might be at the house with other items that he could break.
Yeah, just trying to
That
figure
makes
out
any sense.
if it's that the kid is the same dynamics that y'all have, that to the point where the kid in turn can see the kid can have show the same behavior because like I said sometimes some parents be there's not the same conditions at each parent's house, and so it's hard to in turn see the same
Right.
conditions just because it isn't. And so
Well, I think that's interesting that you bring that up because his father actually sent me this thing that I guess had gone viral on TikTok about how there was this big study that um, children save their worst behavior for their mothers because that's who they feel safest with.
huh.
Um, and they basically said that they did this study where all these different people would come into the room, aunts, uncles, neighbors, and blah blah blah. But unequivocally, when the mom entered the room, the kid's behavior, deteriorated by some percentage or whatever.
Right. So you
And so for a long time, that would be an excuse. Well, he behaves that way because you're his mom and he's going to behave. Would be an excuse. Less. Well, he behaves that way because you're his mom and he's going to behave. Would be an excuse. Less. So do you want to know what happened with the punishment?
yes, what happened?
Would be an excuse. So we made that huge plan, right? Of 27 days without computer and technology.
Mm-hmm.
And 7 days into it, my son started asking me questions about the game. And I was just like, why are you asking me about this? You're not playing it. And lo and behold, he had gone to his dad's the weekend before and had been allowed to play it.
Wow.
So
only
only
7 days. Only 7
7
days.
days. And when I asked him about it, when I spoke with his father about it, his father was like, well, I was busy hanging out with friends and he was bugging me, so I let him just play it.
So okay, so it turned into dad's punishment is depends on if it
Only
inconveniences
enforceable
him.
when it's convenient. Yeah. I was livid to say the least. I was mad.
Right.
Mad.
And I can see how that could be. I definitely can see how that could be.
Yeah.
Because like I said,
and I tried to look past the madness. I had a moment of like, okay, what's best for my child, right? And so I did ask if we could extend it by a day, since he had had the opportunity to escape his punishment. And his response was, no, I don't want to do that because that was a me thing. It was really me not wanting to be bothered. It wasn't him, so I'm not going to extend the time.
So, all right. So, dad. So, what's your history with the dad? Y'all married? Y'all just dating? Y'all was in a relationship? What's the story behind that?
We were married.
How long you married for?
A significant amount of time.
Significant. Whew, significant. Sound like a real long time.
A very long time. We're married for a very long time.
Right.
I mean, the gist of our story was, we've been together for a really long time, and kind of like, like you hear and see, we woke up one day and that's not what that person wanted anymore. Fine, great, let's move forward. We had 2 older children, and then we have 1 younger one still. So I think it would have been easier if we didn't have the younger one, to make more of a clean break, but that's not our situation.
That
Um,
happens. The
but
lifestyle happens.
like life, yeah, life happens.
You
Yeah,
thought you out of it, and then you swing the block one
back
time.
in it.
You swing the block one time, and you extended your time again.
You're right. It was that one time.
Yeah,
Just that one
you
time,
don't do
Connor.
it till you spin the block one time. Old time shake mess you up every time. Try to tell you to get you every time. Yep.
But yeah, so that's our history. I would say I sometimes I don't I have a hard time in the moment, um, articulating how I feel in my anger or my frustration. I tend to be more of a quietly fume and then blow. Um,
Right.
my ex is very opinionated, very like it's my way or the highway, always has been. And our dynamic has changed because we're no longer under the same structure, the same umbrella of the marriage. It's more of I am more well, not allowed to be myself. I would just say I've become stronger in my own voice
Right.
and voicing my opinions about things that are right and wrong with parenting our
Oh.
child.
All right. So
Does that
speaking
make
of
sense?
children, so you sound like you have other children. Y'all have other children. So you have
We do. They're
2 other
fine.
children?
They're fine. So they're fine. Yeah.
And so how was dad parenting with those 2 when they were around this child's age?
So I mean, that was different time, different situation. He his job required him to travel a lot, so I did a lot of the primary parenting through situations. Um,
Really?
didn't have a lot of discipline issues with that. It was more, I mean, I had girls and they were more emotional things,
Right.
and if I say so myself, I'm pretty good at that.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this question. I've seen this on social media as one place, and the question was, um, do you feel like you were? I know some women probably will agree with this. That even though you're in a marriage, in a situation, in a relationship, living in a household, did you feel at that time you was a single parent to your other children when they was in
I
this
think I
age?
had times. I think that there's definitely like a 9 to 5 of when Dad was on the road. I was the primary parent making the decisions, definitely consulting him, but not necessarily um, having to enforce it. Like I said, the other ones are easy.
Right. Just because they were easier to handle. I mean, as far as I mean, not the degree of difficulty, but just the day to day, the average stuff with the child and so forth. Did you feel that
Mhm.
you was the primary? You was a single parent when dad was on the road traveling for
Right. Definitely consulted him about things that we were concerned about, but we've never, I would say, and maybe knock on wood and grace of God, that we didn't have these issues. But then those children had us as a team where this child doesn't have us as a team now.
uh-huh.
Um,
Okay. Yes,
so,
that
and I would say, if I am being 100% honest, which I am, I I don't know why people say that if I'm being honest. Being honest, but um, I feel that I have done more than my share of trying all of the co-parenting theories of, you know, trying to do the family dinners together, trying to, attend all the games together, to, to kind of foster that togetherness, even
Mm-hmm.
though there's apartness. But in every situation, I felt like in the long run, I was the one that was compromising more, and it wasn't necessarily for the benefit of my son. It was for the benefit. It really wasn't beneficial, um, and I think that's been part of the struggle is that we can't seem to find a balance for any long term of being on the same page with things. It's constantly we're on the same page for a minute, and then you do this, and now we're not on the same page, right?
Right.
I mean, that's how I feel in this situation. As difficult as it was to come together to create a punishment, we did. We were on the same page, and then there's that moment of well, yeah, I'm not going to stay on this page, and then I don't know what my expected response is supposed to be like, oh, okay, great, we'll just keep doing things this way. No, I don't. That doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel. I
Right.
mean, I don't know how to explain it more, but it doesn't feel. I don't know what words to put with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like I can't count on. We get on the same page, then you decide to turn a page, and I'm just expected to follow along. Even though we hadn't agreed. It's just I feel like I'm constantly like, okay, I think we're going down this path, and then something changes on the path, and it basically makes me not want to co-parent at all. Makes me want to do the term that I prefer, which is parallel parenting. You do your thing, I do my thing, and it sucks for the kid, but you know,
Right. Do you
I mean, I feel like I'm stuck in between a rock and a hard place. I don't know what to do.
is there structure at dad's house with the child, or is he free
He
ranging?
he tells me there is a men's structure that it is. He does chores. He does this. He doesn't give him this that. He can't play the games unless he does a list of things that he's required to do.
Okay. So
Which
there's a bit of
and
structure there. Okay.
yeah, I think and to my disadvantage is because he isn't allowed to play those games here because I've had so much trouble with him that um, it probably seems less structured.
Right. And so
I don't know.
the same chores that he does at dad's house. Did he do them at your house?
No, no, no. And that's on me. That's on me.
Maybe as if you're dealing with a difficult co-parent, maybe you have to track and toward their direction for a while. And so, like the similar chores that he does there, you should probably implement those at your house also. So there's that uniformity that he knows. Okay, no matter what, I got to do X, Y, Z before I get this. Because
Yeah,
if
I think
dad's
that would be
enforcing that,
helpful.
yeah, if dad's enforcing that, you should enforce it also.
But the reward isn't the same. And so his desire to complete those chores isn't the same.
Now,
He will spend like 10 minutes telling me why he doesn't want to do it,
so the ward
especially if he's not
situation
going to get to play the game.
might need to be the same. So this is the point where maybe the reward situation may have to be similar, just to get it all on the same page. Because like I said, if
Okay, so
y'all are paralleling now, and he knows that to get here, I gotta do all these things, and then with you, it just just push back on those things until you either not let him do it or you let him do it. Like I said, just to
yeah,
have
but
that same track.
but I guess sure we could look at doing that in the future, right? But my frustration is just this most recent situation where
Right,
the reward was supposed to be the same. You abstain from these things for so many days and then you can have it back.
right,
And we couldn't even do that together.
right, right,
So, I mean, I definitely think there's probably room for improvement and similarities here at the household. But right now, I'm just so frustrated with just trying to get the basic support without all the hills and hurdles and justifications,
Right.
and then the follow through, that I don't even really want to entertain trying to mimic his household because I've been so disappointed by the other outcomes.
Right.
Right?
I
Does
can
that make
understand that.
sense?
Absolutely. Because it's like, how do I track to give you what you want when you're not doing what I need you to do?
Right.
And that's a hard one there. That's a very hard one, especially if you have a child that has any type of behavior issues. It's like, if you do right, you'll get this. But if since you don't do right, you won't have this. And now that in turn, what I'm saying, puts you in this situation where it's like, okay, and there's no need for me to do anything other than what I want at mama house. Because she ain't gonna let me do it nowhere. She gonna let me have this nowhere. So it's kind of one of those things where you gotta almost reset. It's like, okay, you reset here, you're back, you're on a clean slate, and
And
then
that's
on your clean slate, you got to do these things to have that. As long as you do these things right here and they're done properly, then you can
well,
then have whatever you want out of that.
right. And I think that's what I'm frustrated by is that I thought that we were on the same page. And as difficult and as hard as it was a clean slate. It was an opportunity to start over, and 7 days in, it all went sideways again.
Right. Right. Because, like I said, you
So,
know that dad's a fun house right
so
now.
if you ask me, can I stuff those feelings away and swallow them and be like, oh, okay, fine, you did it again. I should just expect this, but we're just going to forget about it and keep going forward. Sure, I probably could do that again, but I feel like it's just a vicious cycle, and it's not healthy for my son, and he's not learning what he needs to learn.
Right. Right. I understand that. And I think that, my opinion is, if y'all can get on the same page with it. So somehow you and him got to get on the same page. And obviously, you're going to have to track in his
But we were
direction.
on the same page,
No, no,
and
no,
then he
no, no, no. Y'all had
flipped
a
the page.
no, y'all no, y'all had a what's that spit handshake and an agreement. And then once it
We're
came
just
with
on the same page. I don't understand how you're saying that's not the same page. It was the same page.
it's the same page, but not. It's the same page in theory, but not in execution. And so
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why do I always have to be the starter over? I keep the agreements, I do the follow through, but yeah, I'm always the one that has to say, okay, let's start over and try it again. Why?
right. Like I
At
said,
what point do I get to say, I don't want to do that anymore?
yes, you could. Like I said, you could do this like the very next time. You could say, okay, all right, Dad, what you do over there, we're gonna do it over here. And we're gonna make even conditions. Now, if this kid in turn goes sideways in this even conditions we have, either you handle it full force and discipline, or I'm gonna take it in my back into my control. The kids here is this. And if kid in that way. So that might be a way y'all have to go about it. Because like I said, if dad doesn't want to get on if dad's convinced, like I said, you said in the beginning that he didn't believe your account of what happened. So the only way to even reset it for him is like, give in to his way, and then if his way don't work, you can point it to him. Your way didn't work. Now we're gonna do it my way. And I know that's a difficult
Okay,
thing.
I have
Somebody,
thoughts about that, and I'm
I,
not going to say anything
I,
about it. I'm
I,
just going to stay focused.
I know, because it's like saying it's like I said, to deal with difficult people in
Yeah,
general.
but it's the tale as old as time. Why does the woman have to be the one
Not even a
that
woman. It's dealing different.
gives?
No, it's even dealing with difficult people in itself. We're dealing with difficult people.
But
It's
if you're not the
sometimes
difficult one, I am not the difficult one.
right, and like, it ain't like you can like go get
And
the
you're
person
and I,
fired
but
for the
yeah, I'm the one
situation.
that has to constantly. Yeah, I'm the
You,
one that has to constantly change, even though I'm not the difficult one.
I
And
know,
that is just frustrating.
I know, I know. But but the fact of the matter is that we, and like I said, the squeaky wheel. You know what I'm saying? You track to the squeaky wheel till you can point to the squeaky wheel. Like, hey, you are doing wrong. The way you're doing, the way you're saying things should happen is wrong. But until you get to that point, it's like I said, you got to set the conditions for it, and so forth. And with that being said, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back with you. Yep. All right, give me 1 second, people. We're gonna take a quick break. Now we're gonna be back. Now we are back. So what I was saying is sometimes it's like at the job, you got trouble, you got co-workers that are very squeaky and so forth, and problematic and hard to get along with. First, you got to show them themselves before they will in turn understand that they need to do something different. And I think in this scenario is pretty much the same thing. Yep.
Okay.
So
I don't agree, but okay.
I know you don't agree. Like I said, but like I said, you gotta understand. You know that the co-parent is a difficult person, and so forth. And with the co-parenting being a difficult person, you gotta do certain things. And I know it's uncomfortable, but all you gotta do is do this one thing one time. And then if it doesn't work one time,
Okay, if it doesn't work, we can find ourselves in the same situation.
no, then
Like,
you
we can do it
then
again.
I would wholeheartedly tell you to go about your parallel parenting.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
let's see if we can get the father's buy-in, because fathers buy-in with boys is a good thing, powerful thing. And so that's what we want to make sure we have. We don't want to go ahead and because of frustrations and upsetness that we split off from that situation. And that, like I said, we in turn take it, look at it, try to get the help, and then if the help don't come, then hey, you need to do these other things.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
it makes sense, but it doesn't feel good.
I know
Sure.
it doesn't. It never. No discipline is comfortable at all. Giving it or receiving it, no discipline is uncomfortable. It's comfortable, and so in this scenario, it's like this. It's either like I said. So let me ask you this: so is the kid still in the punishment in the 27-day punishment, or is that over?
I have no clue because he's been at his dad's. I mean, here, yes. And actually, we had a situation where he was invited over to somebody's house on my watch, and I literally just called him and said, "Hey, he's grounded from technology. He can come over, but he's not allowed to play it." And there was no issue.
Okay, good.
It was like they'll play outside, they'll do whatever. So on my end, I am still enforcing it. I have no idea if it's going to be the same situation when he was over there this week. That dad might have been too busy watching March Madness and
The
let
games
him
is
play the
out
game.
there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said
I'm a
though,
March Madness fan too,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you know,
But like I said though, this is what I would do. I would have before he comes back. He's coming back after spring break. I'm taking it.
I'll be back tomorrow.
I would have a conversation with Dad. Dad, what's the plan? We still sticking to it? We ain't sticking to it. What we doing? Did you enforce, or did you just let it be? And then go from there after that conversation. Let them say, "Hey, I enforced it," or "I was too busy watching the game and I couldn't." Kid was doing whatever he wanted to do.
I was fine with that. I mean, like I wasn't fine, but I was fine with that. I just felt that we should have extended it by a day, and the response of not being able to do that frustrated me because
Right.
I think that would be more of a powerful lesson.
Right. Like I said,
To where maybe if the opportunity comes up again, he would choose on his own to say, no, I don't want to do it because I don't want to be on punishment anymore.
right. Right. True. True. But like I said, we'll see. Like I said, I would have that conversation where we stand before the kid comes back. Where we stand, where we at, what we enforcing, and how things looking. and then when that's done, then you know exactly where you at, where you stand, and so forth. That would be
Yep.
my first course of action, and I would go from there for that.
Okay. I'll
Cool.
try it.
All right. All right. We'll follow up with you later on that. And
Okay.
all right, everybody. It's been Bar Talk.